Welcome to Module 4, Lesson 5. Our I can statement is, I can use properties of operations and the relationship between multiplication and division to find products and quotients using mental math. So that's a lot of words to say. We're going to be looking at different mathematical properties that are going to help us solve multiplication and division problems using mental math skills and strategies. Right, so let's take a look at this problem. James crochets a pattern with this yarn. Each color has 7 rows with 50 stitches in each row. How many stitches are in the pattern? Right, so you can see on your book, there's 4 different skeins of yarn. There's a blue one up here that I'm missing on my page. So it gives us our equation. Our equation would be 4 times 7 times 50, right? There's 4 colors of yarn times 7 rows times 50 stitches in each of those rows. Letter A is going to ask us to use the commutative property to solve this. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at that vocabulary to the side. If you're having trouble remembering, what is the commutative property? The commutative property of multiplication states that when the order of the factors is changed, the product is the same. So if we look at these numbers here, 4 times 7 times 50, well, we can probably do 4 times 7 in our head, but can we do that product times 50 in our head? We can do 4 times 50 in our head pretty easily. So it's asking us to flip these products of 7 and 50 just so that we multiply in the order 4 times 50 times 7. So we're going to go ahead and put 50 on that line there. Okay, letter B is giving us their next hint as to how to do this using mental math. It says use basic facts and place value to multiply the two factors. Because 4 times 5 equals 20. This is what we've been working on using place value. Then 4 times 50 is equal to 200. So now we're going to take that new factor, which would be 200, right? We just solved 4 times 50 is 200. That's why that's going here on this line. Okay, we've done this part. 4 times 50 is 200. And now we're going to multiply 200 by 7. Again, we want to think back to using place value with this. This is the same as 200s. 200s times 7 is equal to 14 hundreds, or 1,400, meaning there are 1,400 stitches in the pattern. Great. Number 2, find 325 divided by 5. Using addition, we're going to break the dividend into 2 parts that divide easily by 5. The first thing we want to do when we're looking at that is look at 325. Do we see any clear multiples of 5 in this number? Well, the most obvious would be 5. But we want to think a little bit bigger, and we see 25 right here. If I show this 300 plus 25, I have 2 multiples of 5 right there. So we're going to break up our dividend into 325 because we can do 300 divided by 5 and 25 divided by 5 using mental math. Well, letter B kind of gave us away what we were going to do here, but now we're going to divide those. So I'm going to start with 25 divided by 5 because I know you can do that one quickly in your head. 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5. So now let's work through how to do 300 divided by 5. What is our simple fact that we know that is close to 300 divided by 5? Well, I see that multiple of 30 right here. So I can think about 30 tens divided by 5. 30 tens divided by 5 is equal to 6 tens, or 60. So now that I've found my two partial quotients, right, 60 and 5 are my two partial quotients. I've divided that dividend. I need to add them together to find the total quotient of this problem, which is 65. So I know that 325 divided by 5 is equal to 65. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 3 now. May has 800 craft sticks for 4 projects. How many craft sticks can she use for each project? So it gives us our equation. We need to find 800 divided by 4. We're going to use the relationship between multiplication and division for this one. So it's just giving us a lot of different strategies on how to solve problems using mental math when we can do that. So it gives us this little statement here to think. What number when multiplied by blank equals 800? It's asking us to fill in a section of our division problem, which is divided by 4. So basically what it's asking us to do is find the inverse operation. So this would be n if we're used to using that variable for our unknown. The inverse operation of 800 divided by 4 equals n would be n times 4 equals 800. So that's what this think question is asking us. What number when multiplied by 4 will equal 800? So what can n be, or what can our unknown value be? All right, then letter B is going to ask us to use basic facts and place value to solve. Well, we know that 4 times 2 is 8, so thinking about we've moved into 8 hundredths. So it's not 4 times 2, it's 4 times 2 hundredths. Therefore, 800 divided by 4 must be 200. And we can find that 800, or each project can use 200 craft sticks. Right, so now we're going to use another property here. We're going to find 5 times 72. Letter A asks us to use place value to rewrite the equation. When it's asking us to use place value to rewrite, we want to think about that number in expanded form. So 72 in expanded form would be 70 plus 2. Right? When we use expanded form, we break that number apart by place value. We're going to do the same thing here to use place value to rewrite. So 5 times 70 plus 2. Now here is where we use distributive property. Distributive property states that multiplying a sum by a number is the same as multiplying each addend by the number, then adding the products. Okay, so let's go through distributive property, and then I'll give you a visual as another way to understand distributive property. Okay, so we're taking what we did, 5 times 70, and then we're going to add 5 times 2. So that's just what we're showing here, 5 times 70 plus 5 times 2. 5 times 7 tenths is 35 tenths. 5 times 2 is 10. So we add up these two partial products, and we get 360 as our final product. Now, if you remember using an area model, you might have used this last year. This is another way to understand what distributive property looks like. What we're doing is breaking apart one of our factors. So now we have multiple that we're multiplying by. We're still multiplying each of these numbers by 5, right? Because if I imagine this line here, it's still equal to 5. So my first partial product still is 350. My second partial product is 10. And when I add up both partial products, I get my end product of 360. So this is just another visual way of looking at what distributive property is doing with all of this. This step is when I break this apart. Then I'm going to multiply 5 times 70. I'll multiply 5 times 2. Then I add those partial products together. All right, go ahead and complete the check understanding. Press pause on the video and press play when you're ready to check your work. All right, let's go ahead and check our work. The answer to number 1 is 480. Now, you could use mental math to solve. If you need to write out your steps like this to help you work through what those steps are, that's totally fine as well. But this is how my thinking was. I used commutative property to rearrange my factors here and did 30 times 2 times 8. 30 times 2 is 60, which is equal to 6 tens. 6 tens times 8 is 48 tens, so my answer is 480. I used place value to help me solve this one using mental math. 450 is equal to 45 tens. I know 45 is easily divisible by 5. That gave me 9 tens, which is equal to 90.